Our next presenter is Angela Leek. Angela is the founder and principal health physicist of Quantum Radiation Solutions, where she provides technical consulting rooted in practical experience. Angela's presentation is Next Gen Nuclear is Here. Our emergency manager's ready.
Good morning. When I say nuclear power, what comes to mind? Probably a massive facility, intense security, cooling towers in the distance, and sirens that get tested once a month like clockwork. And if you've lived or worked around one, you know that those emergency plans, they're no joke. They're detailed, they're complex, and they're rigorously evaluated. You've probably spent time on plan updates, interagency coordination, and evaluated drills and exercises. Our current radiological emergency preparedness plans and program, they work because we've spent decades working on them. So what if I told you that the next generation of nuclear power won't look anything like that? It's going to be smaller, it's going to be faster, and it's going to start showing up in places that have never had to plan for nuclear before. So what's happening? Well, artificial intelligence, or AI, it's exploding. And it's not just in consumer tech, it's in everything from logistics to finance to medicine and agriculture. And all of that processing power, it lives in data centers. Data centers already account for about 4.5% of all of our US electrical needs. And that's expected to more than double by 2030. Artificial intelligence alone is expected to account for more than half of all new electrical needs over the next 5 years. But our power grid, it wasn't built for this kind of exponential growth, especially in the places where these data centers are being sited. Enter small modular reactors and microreactors. So let's break this down for just a minute. A small modular reactor is just like it sounds, small. It's about 1/3 of the electrical capacity of our current nuclear fleet and the reactors that are out in operation now. And it'll be the size of a few football fields in the entire plant location. It's modular because it's designed to be factory built and assembled on site, so one or more reactors can be brought to the location depending on the power needs of that location. A microreactor, on the other hand, is even smaller, and it's meant to be transportable, so think like a diesel generator today. However, they're designed to operate for up to 10 years or more without refueling, so they're ideal for those infrastructure, critical infrastructure or military installations, or even powering your emergency operations during a disaster. All of these new reactor designs are being built with safety in mind. They have advanced designs and safety features that rely on gravity or natural circulation to keep the reactor fuel cool and help it shut down, all without the need for operator intervention or external power. And they're not science fiction. The first small modular reactor is anticipated to be connected to the grid as early as 2028, and many others are planning for 2030. And some won't be connected to the grid at all. There'll be dedicated power sources to feed that hungry data center or those remote operations. So this means that fairly soon, you could start to see these popping up in your community, if you haven't heard about some already. And your community, they're gonna have questions. They're gonna look to you as emergency managers to understand the safety and the risks of these reactor designs. As we move toward these new reactors, we need to really work on trying to figure out what we can know and what we can tell the public. But the kicker is you can't just call your colleague who's down the road with a current nuclear power plant and ask how they've handled it. These reactors will be different. They may be owned by private tech companies. They will operate under different regulatory frameworks. And the assumptions and the criteria that went into the development of our current REP plans simply won't apply because of the new reactor designs that are coming down the pipeline. Speaking of those plans, the designers of these new reactors emphasize that an emergency planning zone, or EPZ, that we're familiar with around the current reactor fleet won't be required around these new plants. Why? Because each of these reactors has a lot less radioactive material, and those advanced design and safety features limit the consequences of a radiological emergency to within the plant boundary site. And this tracks, because the actual radiological risk from these new reactors is very low. But that doesn't mean there won't be radiation detected off-site. And we know that any radiological incident, no matter how contained, will be of intense public concern. You'll have responders in the public calling you, asking about long-term cancer risks and how they can protect themselves and their families. So what can we do? Well, we can get to the table early. We can start the discussions now to shape preparedness from the start. We can meet with the designers, the regulators, and the future site operators, and let them know what you need in your community and what resources you can bring to help support operations around these locations. We can ask the hard questions now. How will we be notified if an incident occurs at one of these facilities? What is the public message that we need to share, especially if the typical preparedness activities like a shelter in place or evacuation won't be necessary? How do we communicate that to a large urban area so that they don't overcompensate or self-evacuate, much like we saw with 3 Mile Island years ago? And what kinds of tailored training will be available for our first responders and our community who've never dealt with new terminology about fission products and these new safety features? And their all hazards preparedness doesn't include that type of concept. It's all new territory. But if anyone knows how to navigate new terrain, it's you. Emergency management has never been about routine. It's about adapting. Whether it's wildfires or floods or pandemics, emergency managers are always first to rise to the challenge. And new nuclear, it's just the next chapter. So let's start these discussions now and be part of the design, not just the response. Thank you.